Hey, good morning and welcome back once again to the JTC Learning Network. This is Photography Weekly, episode number 84 for Sunday, April the 14th, 2013. I'm your host, Jack, and today we're going to be bringing you ways to continue making money with your digital cameras. That's what I'm here for, to help you make a little cash flow with that camera. Next, we're going to talk about using any picture, and I'm going to show you a simple way to do it, but you can use absolutely any picture and build a magazine cover to get more bangs out of your buck. And then we're going to talk about something that somebody mentioned last week, and I didn't get to it, but it's called sandwich overlays. So with all that, let's get started with episode number 84. Okay, wonderful start to the morning. Great Sunday morning. I did have an opportunity and a chance yesterday to go do some trout fishing. Trout fishing officially opened in our part of the woods here yesterday. So we were up bright and early we got up about 4 o'clock. Left the house about 4:30 for an 8 o'clock start. So be that what that may, but we did get out rather early, and at least we got a really nice place to fish. Threw our lines out at 8 o'clock, and by 11 o'clock, my daughter was like, "Dad, can we just go?" It was cold. I mean, it was about 40 degrees out. The wind was whipping across the lake, and you know what? Just freezing out there, and we had got absolutely no bites yesterday. So I said, "Yeah, let's pack her up and go home." I think that was a good idea. It was a perfect opportunity to split and get out of there and come back home. But with that said, we're going to say good morning to our chat room and everybody in it with all of its great and gloriness, right? The chat room. If you're not in the chat room, come visit us at jackstechcorner.com and then click on the live show at the top. And then right underneath the video player, you'll see a little thing that says chat pop out or pop out chat window. Click on that and come join the chat room. It's really, really a nice place to hang out. And you get a lot of great information in there. With that said, ditch the headphones here so I can hear myself talking. And we'll say good morning to Mike JP, Andy Taylor, Flyer here, Kevin R, Marasi 72. I'll get that sooner or later. MC, Peter from the UK, and our good old friend, Tom Thumb. Good morning to everybody. So had you guys been out this week taking pictures? I mean, I've seen a lot of great work on the Facebook group, and I do thank everybody's input there because you guys are great photographers. I love seeing that work come up on there. I've seen a lot of landscape photography coming through. I know Kevin's been posting a bunch of stuff, and I've seen some HDR stuff coming through. So everybody's picking their little niche, what they like to photograph, and they're getting out there and they're taking the pictures. Well, yesterday, as I said, we went fishing, and did I take my camera? No, I didn't. I just wanted to take the point and shoot camera here, this one right here, my daughter's camera. It is also a Nikon. It's a Coolpix, I don't know what it is, an S205. I wanted to take this camera yesterday, but we had a little problem with it. It wasn't charged. So, be that what it may, we didn't take it. But we did have our phones, and we did take some really cool pictures. You might have seen some of those up online. And the one I actually took at night, it was still very, very dark in the morning. I guess it's dusk. Is that the proper terminology? I don't know, but it was very dark out, and I got some really pretty little blue sky coming up. But that was with my iPhone, and it worked. So I often told you guys, the best phone, or the best camera, is the one you have with you when you're ready to take that picture. Okay, with that said, we do have a ton of stuff to get to this morning, and good morning to Brian also. I see you just popped into the chat room there. Good morning to you. Good to have you on board. So, we took some green screen pictures last week. We photographed some green screen stuff, and now today, I want to show you not only how you can use green screen, because a lot of you may not have them out there, but I want to show you another way that you can spruce up your pictures so you can make a little bit more buck, right? Or get paid for your work, right? That's the big thing about photography. In the end, everybody, you buy all this great gear, but I think at the end of the day, you want to do a show me the money. You know what I mean? especially if you're asked to photograph something, or if you just want to make a few bucks. You're spending a lot of money on these cameras and all this gear. Make a few dollars with it. You don't have to be a professional photographer. You could be an amateur professional. That's what I consider myself as, and which means I do more amateur shooting or going out and just photographing stuff than I get paid for. But I don't consider myself as being a full professional, because I think that's somebody that does it for a living. And I also have a day job, as many of you do. Okay, so today we are going to be working with Photoshop Elements 11. This will also work in Photoshop Elements 10, 9, 8, 7, and I think 6. So if you're out there with the smaller version, a lower version 11, don't worry about it. Stick around. You're going to learn something here. All right. We're going to move a bunch of windows around here. And I tried to preset this for the start of the show. And Okay, folks, let's go ahead and get started. So as you can see here, like I was telling you earlier, we're going to start working with a magazine cover is what our first goal is. And this is what I came up with this morning playing around. Now, what we're doing here is we're basically building layers. We're going to layer upon layer upon layer to build a magazine cover to give your pictures that little bit of oomph that they may need. And it's fun. If you take this thing and you frame this, you are going to sell this to your customer. They are going to buy it, especially for sporting pictures. So if your kids are into sports, or if you have friends and family into sports, I've done this for soccer teams. My kids don't play soccer, but I was asked to come photograph some soccer players. Well, you always turn an opportunity into a nickel. I mean, that's what you should think in your head somewhere. All right. Let's see. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. This is going to be our finished product, actually, or something to this effect. We'll see how it works out for me. And I'm going to show you where all these pictures came from and how I took these. My daughter actually had her track pictures done Friday, and unfortunately not by me. The school has a company that comes in. As many schools, it's very much of a monopoly. When a photography company or a photographer's in your school, at least in Pennsylvania, the way it works is they own everything that's going to be photographed in that school. So, I mean, back it up a little bit. Let's say that if you're going to have student pictures, you're going to have yearbook pictures. Well, not so much yearbook, but you're going to have formal pictures, or even the prom. These photographers go to that, and they get the money. That's just how it works. All right. So I took this anyway in our little studio here in front of that green screen I showed you last week. So let's back this up, and we're going to show you how we did all this. You know what I may do is just, we're going to open a file up here. Let me go back to my organizer, because that's where I have these anyway. So that's where I have these things at. And I have one here that I'm going to work on later, because I want her to have a javelin in her hand. We're going to work on the same one this time. We're going to open up in Elements again. Let me see if I can open this as a new picture in Elements. Let's see if it's going to work out for us. All right, first, obviously, it's going to, or unfortunately, I guess, however you look at this, it's going to open up in Camera Raw, right? Because I shot this as a raw image. I'm not going to do anything in here. I'm just going to tell it open image, because I just need to open this right in my Photoshop Elements. So that's where we're going to open this up at. And there we go. Now we're open in Photoshop Elements. All right. So the pictures here, the first thing we have to do with any picture we have is do what? You're right. I can hear you guys yelling out there. Duplicate the background layer. Let's do Command or Control J, and that's going to duplicate that layer. Now what we're going to do is I just shut the visibility off on that background, because I don't want that to be seen at all. Okay. And over here, we're on the right-hand side, and we're under Layers. Your Layers palette. We clicked on the background layer, and we did a Command or Control J, and we made a duplicate. And then we shut the visibility off by clicking the little eyeball that says indicates layer visibility. We shut it off. All right. So now right here is our actual layer that we're going to be working with. Now, last week I showed you the standalone green screen wizard, all right, which was perfect. And a lot of you asked Jack, I had a couple emails this week. So, Jack, I'm buying Green Screen Wizard. How do I find your link to go there? And I even emailed. Somebody says it's not working right now. I hope it is. But when you go to my website, jackstechcorner.com, and go down the left-hand column, you'll see it's a box. It says Green Screen Wizard. Click on that box, that logo, and then go ahead and order your product like you normally would. That's all there is to it. So if you're looking for it, that's where it's at. But today we're going to be using the plugin. Now, what the plugin does, it allows us to stay within Photoshop Elements without having to go out to Green Screen Wizard, the standalone project, the product, make it transparent, save it, and do all that work. We can do everything right in our Photoshop Elements. So if you go under Filter, Green Screen Wizard, and this happens when you buy the program, when you buy the plugin, you install it, and this will all come in here. The only thing I tell you is make sure your Elements is closed before you install it, so it can put the new filter in here. Click on the 3-layer system. And what we're going to be doing here, very simply, is we're going to output this just like this, and we're going to output the transparency information. So we're just going to do that. So that way it will build a new layer for us and be transparent, just like this. All right, that's how we want it to happen. If you have any green showing around it, you can always move these sliders around here, and you can actually clean it up, but I find it to work fairly well. If you're using a blue background, make sure you click on this bottom down here. It says Use Blue Logic, all right, because the standard is green, but make sure you click on that. Then click on OK. At that point, it's going to process the file for us, and what it's doing the chroma keying. It's removing the green. Many people have emailed me this past week and said, Jack, I can do that in Photoshop, or I could do that in Photoshop Elements. And yes, you absolutely can, and it does work. Is it more time consuming? Absolutely, it's more time consuming. But if you feel that's, you want to save some money, you can do it that way. I actually started that way. Started taking it out by hand. I mean, you can get that green out of there. And that's why I also wanted to bring up this point, is you can do this with any picture, because all you got to be able to do is do a nice removal of the background. So any picture you have, you can use for a magazine cover. It doesn't have to be a green screen or a blue screen picture. It could be anything at all, okay? So we have it here now. Now we have her on a transparent background. You can see that's very easy to see. Now what we need, though, is we need to have some sporty background. What I mean by sporty is this is obviously a track picture. If you have a cross country, maybe you want a cross country trail going through the woods. Basketball team. Soccer, I had a soccer field with a net in the far background. So where do you find these great images at? I mean, do you have to go out and take those? Or you can. That would be one way I would suggest you could do that. Or we could just go to our friend, our Google Buddy friend. I know I have a lot of old Google buddies out there watching the show today. So, but if we go to Google and go to images, all right, go back one here. We're going to do a search. Now, this is the actual picture that I used. And all I did was up here, go to Google, click on images, and do an image search. I searched for track because that's what I'm currently working on. Sometimes, now you got to be careful, because sometimes when you download these pictures, they could be very low format. Okay, so look for a decent picture, and you may have to put a couple in before you find the one you want. So we're on Google. We went to images. I found what I wanted here. I clicked on it. It comes up like this. And you can click on View Original Image. When you do that, it's going to open up here. I just simply right-clicked on it and just click Save Image As. And then it doesn't matter if you're on a PC or Mac or whatever you're on. Go into your Pictures folder. Create a folder called Backgrounds. All right, makes it a lot easier if you have a folder to work out of. And then give it a name. I'll name this one, since I have track 1. Track 2. Even though it's the same picture, that's okay. We're just going to name it track 2. All right. At that point, it's going to download. We downloaded the picture there, so I'm just going to minimize this and bring my editor back up here. And now what I have to do is I have to get that picture in there. There's a couple ways you can do this. One, the way most people are going to do it is this way. And I've seen it, and I've done it. File, open, and we're going to open that background image. Let me show you what happens there. Just so you understand the whole concept of how this happens. So if I'm on here, I go to backgrounds, I go to track 2, I'm going to open. So what just happened? Does anybody see what just happened? Well, very simply put, what happened was, up here at the very top, it opened up a new tab. All right. So then what you have to do is you have to go to Select, All, Edit, Copy. All right. A lot of clicking around, folks. A lot of undue, unneeded clicking. What you want to do, let's get rid of that. I'm in my image I'm working on. What I want to do is go to File, Place. Because when you place, you're going to pull the image into the same file you're working on, but it's going to create its own layer. So let's go ahead and try that. Track 2 and Place. Now you see here, it says right here, it's already named Track 2. Over here on the right, under Layers, Track 2 is named. And here's our image. All we got to do now is size it. Let's size this image out. Size this image over. And I know some of you are saying it could be distorted, but you know what? For a magazine background, it worked out all right. You may distort it a little bit. Because a magazine background is ordinarily portrait formatting, not landscape. Once you have it where you want it, just simply click the checkbox. And that will set itself in. And there's our beautiful background. Okay, so under search tools, Kevin's saying you can search for larger images. And I'm glad you said that, Kevin, because I could not find that anymore. Let's look back here and see that. Oh, search tools. Ah, there we go. Size. Thanks, Kevin. That's a good, very good. There you go. Then click on large. All right. Because for a long time, they had that up across the toolbar up here at the top, but they got rid of that. So, yeah, thanks. It's a great, great tip. So, again, just click on the size and click on large. You don't want to deal with small pixelated files because they look really, really bad. So, you don't want to deal with that. Okay, great tip. Now that we're back here, we have the image here ready to go. You can click on layer 1 because if you notice what happened was the track covered up our athlete. We want to get this athlete back on that track. So click layer 1 and drag it, click your left mouse button, drag it up and drop it above layer 2. Now, we just put that new background there and you can see how nice that actually worked out for us, right? Perfect. Now what I want to do is we're going to go back out to our Google Images because there's another part that we need on here when you're doing a magazine. And I would suggest as you're building these files, store these files, keep these things because you're going to build other magazine covers. You may even eventually build a magazine cover, build your background and build the cover part. And I'll show you that in a minute. Save those. And then anytime you have a new athlete, just put it in there and pull it in the middle of those two, and then you're good to go. You'll be perfect. We're going to look for now here is a barcode. So if I type in magazine, barcode, and we just need a barcode. It doesn't really matter what it scans to or what it is. Just get a barcode. So we'll do that. I'm just going to right click right here because it just has to be a small image anyway. Save image as. And we're going to save it as barcode number 2. Okay, so now we have barcode number 2. Now our next step is to do what? Anybody know? You're right. We have to place it. Very good. I can hear you out there yelling it. Place the image. Click here, click place. Barcode 2. Place it. Now as you see here, it's going to be a little bit larger. So just all we got to do is scale it down. Just pull it from a corner. And you're just going to pull it down, pull it down, pull it down. Pull it down, pull it up. Okay. Drop it down. All right, there. So now we have our barcode on our actual picture, on our magazine. The next thing to do, very simply, is make sure you clicked up here on layer. Well, we'll make sure we're on barcode, because what we need to do now is make sure the new layer goes above our athlete and our background. Let's click on text. Put a text box up here. And we will put type in here. Something like that. Track and field times. Highlight it just like you would anytime you work with text. I'm sure you folks have been working with text for a while. I tend to type my size in there just to see if I can get it right. We may want to take the space out here, I think. There. Because I like to make it a little bigger than that, so I'm going to take my space out. Again, come down here. Come down here where it says the font size. Now, if you're using version 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, the font sizes and everything will be on the top in your toolbar. You'll see the font sizes. With version 11, they rebuilt the interface, remember, and they moved it down the bottom. People say, Jack, do you like it better there? Technically, I don't really care where they put it, as long as I have access to it. So I'm going to make it 85 points. And we will click the little checkbox. There we have it. And then you can move this around to wherever you want it to be placed, just like so. Now it looks good. Now what I did next was, on my particular text, was I wanted to create some effects on there, which anybody watch my shows here know that I do a lot of effect stuff with my text. Just come in here to bevel. I'm just going to double click it, give it a little bevel. Come back to layers. Then I want to click on the little FX, which indicates a layer style. Click on that and double click it. And that gives us the little box that says style settings. Now we can play with that text and make it a little bit nicer. We could bevel it up a little bit if we want. You can bevel it up a lot if you want. Let's bevel it back. That looks kind of foolish. We'll bevel it up a little bit. You can give it a glow if you want. So you want an outer glow. Give it a size. So you can give it a little background glow if you want that. And you could use this on any text you're working on, folks. I always like to add a little stroke color to mine, and we're going to add a little bit of bluish tint to it. Get the size up a little bit. Too much. But what you can see is just a little bit of blue tint around the back of that. I just think it kind of sets it off a little bit. That's my personal preference. And that's what editing is. Is that correct, folks? Editing is all based on your preference. That's what it's all about. What do you like? All right. We will get to the chat window in just a second here. Let me finish this up. Next thing we're going to do is click on that top layer, the very top of our layers palette, and we're going to add another text box. This time I added a text box here. You can add text boxes anywhere on this thing, just like this. And I brought this down. I don't want that to be 85 points. I find that to be too big, but I found that 30 play works pretty good. I'm going to type in here girl wins all events. Then I put on here what she does. Let's say 100, 200, 400. Then I put in here and Jav, and then I put in here something like 135 feet, which I made that up, so something like that. I simply click the checkbox, and now I got some text in there about what she's done, some events she's done. So I mean that looks pretty good there. And again, you have options of going over here and once again doing all that great stuff. Okay. You can also, sometimes in magazines, you will see shapes in there. And you can actually do all kind of shapes. You know how they put like little rectangles or squares in there. Then you can type in them like little white boxes. You've seen those. something like this, just to set your magazine off, right? You want to fill that with white. Click on the color palettes down here and flip them. I'll just say fill layer with foreground color. You can make that white. And then you can also go in here and you can start typing text in here and doing what you want to do inside that box. So there's just so many options you have with making a magazine cover. And it's just so much fun because in the end, you're going to take this thing and you're going to make a couple bucks out of it. Or if nothing else, just do it for your own family. Do it for your own kids, or Christmas time. We do them sometimes with just to make a magazine cover like called Christmas Times and have a picture of your family in front of a tree. Once you're done, though, make sure you go to File, Save. And folks, I want you to save 2 pictures when you do these because you get all these layers in here. Like I said, it's always good you could bring this back up later and just put different athletes in. So if you're doing an event and you have a bunch of athletes you're working with, you just have to build basically one cover, 1 or 2 covers, and give your client a choice. But save it as a PSD file first because the PSD, remember, preserves the layers because that's a Photoshop file. So save it as a PSD. And we'll save that out. And then what we're going to do is go here and we're going to do Save As. Now you have to have one you can send to the developer, take it to Kinko's or wherever you want to go, wherever finer pictures are developed. Of course, we want you to go to SmugMug, but you can really go wherever you want. This one here, we're going to put on our cover 2 because I think I already have a cover 1 in there. I hate using caps all the time, so I'll take my cap box key off because it's probably something in my head thinks that way. And what this is going to do is give you what size you want it, what quality you want it. I'm going to run it up all the way to the top quality because I want it to be very clear picture. I don't want to take a chance of it pixelating. It's only 9 megabytes. So click OK. Let's store that out into. And what it did, if you didn't see that, it flattened down the layers. It takes all those layers, it flattens down and makes a JPEG picture. All right. What we're going to talk about now is something much like this. This is a sandwich effect, is what this is, or layering effect, whichever way you want to call this. But what makes it really neat is Green Screen Wizard makes a bunch of different sandwiches, and he has a lot of these magazines pre-created. So, but you've seen, we created this one. It didn't take too much time to do so. And so I think we could do just about anything we want with, as long as you have Photoshop or Photoshop elements. Folks, you can create anything. That's the big thing. What we're going to do now is we're going to open up and we're going to put a person in a snow globe. And I really like this edit. We're going to bring this back up. We're going to find something else here to do. I think we'll just take this picture here. Right click. I'm in my organizer and right click and open up my Photoshop elements just to get this going right there. And just like so, once we get it open. Again, it's a raw image. Maybe we'll tone it down a little bit. Maybe I'll just drop the exposure down a little bit just to do so. A little bit bright. All right. Even though, yes, I use the light meter, but sometimes it's just not to my likings. That's the way life goes. All right. So here it is. Once again, what we're going to do first of all is we are going to duplicate that background layer. Control or Command J. Shut the visibility off. Run this through our green screen wizard or however you want to get that green out of the background. You can see a little bit of areas around her hair that are a little bit just the background green levels. Try to blow this up a little bit here so we can see that. Just a little bit there. I don't think it's that much actually, but you can scroll around with this program. Once again, we're in the Green Screen Wizard plugin. And we're going to move some of the green maybe again. It's just around her hair. I don't want that much. And we'll pull it back out a little bit. All right. That should be good. Should be good for the, we're going to output the transparency information again. And I also found, I'm going to show you another trick here, where if that doesn't clean everything up, I'll show you how to actually clean it up a little bit with the eraser tool. I still have my handy dandy Wacom Wacom board in, I hope. Yep, it's still plugged in. So I use my pen on this. And it seems like the program is taking just a little bit of time there to chug through all of its mathematical equations to get the end results for us. All right, there is the end results. Now, the easiest way to get rid of some of this green, if you can see it right around her hair, and you know what I'm going to do is we're going to make a selection here so you can see it, because I don't like doing things that you guys can't see. Let's take a peek here. Let's get real close here, okay? Real close and personal. Right here. And we're going to come right about there. Now look right here in the hairline. You see right there in the hairline? There's some green in there. What we need to do is, done selecting, I'm going to get my eraser tool out. And use my eraser tool. I'm on the layer. What I'm going to do here is just take this tool and just erase some of that out of there. Just clean that up. So that way you're not really relying on Green Screen Wizard. You know, you can keep working those sliders, but if you can't get it perfect, just simply use your eraser tool there and just erase it out a little bit. All right. All right. Try not to flatten her head out as much as I'm doing. Okay. All right. So we cleaned that up. So what we need to do now is we need two images. And let me show you what I'm talking about here with Green Screen Wizard. Open this selection back up. Now that you've seen how that works, all right, let's open this up. Open it up down the bottom part of our editor here so we can see what's going on. Hit done editing, or done selecting. Bring up our web browser here. And I will type in Green Screen Wizard. And what we're talking about, Ken calls these sandwich overlays, is what he calls these things. And I think if we go down here, we can see some of these. And the one that we're going to be working on right now is this one right here, the globe. All right, so we're going to put somebody in a globe. And as I said, you can do these, and it's very easy to do once you see these images of how he actually did these. Same with this one. Like, you want to place somebody with a green screen and put them in a scene, not just over the, like the magazine cover, right? We put them on the background, all right? But these pictures actually put them in the scene. Like, they're, look at the girl here, if you can see this, standing behind the chair right there. The girl sitting on the glass with her legs in the glass behind the rim. These are key elements that you want to see. All right. So let's go ahead and do this. Let's do File, Place. And it's under Documents. I think, no, he puts it under Pictures. I'm sorry. He puts it under Pictures. Then what happens is when you install the software, there's a folder that's made that's called Green Screen Wizard. We're going to go to Overlays, Demo, and there's two that we need, Flower Globe BG and Flower Globe FG. Now what these stand for is the Flower Globe front of the globe, and the BG is the back of the globe. So it tells you one's going to go in front of the person, one's going to go in the back of your person. Let's see how this works. So I need this one. Be nice if we could select both of those, but no, I don't think you can. So let's go with the background first. We're going to place it. All right. I'm not going to size or anything. I'm just going to go up here. I'm going to do Image. And that will hit the checkbox first. I'm sorry. Let's do that. All right. We'll do the rest of this in a minute. Let's do Image, Place. And that is the BG file. Now we need the FG file, the foreground of the globe. Here's the foreground. Click OK. Now, what you'll see here is, if you click on here, he actually just took this and he made that transparent wherever you want to see through, right? That's what transparency does. It sees through. And then the background is solid, okay? So it's a solid there, so you can see that. So what we need to do now is put our person in between those two and then adjust it accordingly where the person should be. Now, let's try this out. So we're going to take the person and put her in the middle, right here. All right. And what we need to do now is we're going to need to make these bigger. So we're going to need to scale these. Oop, don't want to do that. We can do image, resize, image size. No, I want to scale. I'm sorry. Image, size, resize, scale. Right? And we can scale these up. Or you could cut her down if you wanted to do it that way. You can do that. Same with this one. Once we get that done, we'll click OK. Now we'll take this foreground. Set that in. Grab this foreground. Shut these ones off for a minute so we see that. Same thing. Image, we're going to resize it. We'll scale it up. And we're going to do the same thing. Just scale it up. Sometimes when I've done this, it takes a little time to match them. Now we're going to turn this other layer back on. And you can see now that very quickly and very easily, we now have her inside that globe. And again, you just save it out as a JPEG and you're good to go. But it's kind of interesting to see how the roundness of that is, how you can see through there, like it magnifies everything up. And it's really, it's just a really nice effect. And they all work the same way. I've done the wine glass. I've done the, he has a thing like a dollhouse. I've actually put somebody in that dollhouse. So it's really, really cool. All right. So, folks, I'm glad you stopped by this Sunday once again here to the JTC Learning Network. It's kind of what I dubbed these shows now because I got so many different ones. Stop by Wednesday night if you have time at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Tech Talk. We don't get a lot of people in there, but I know obviously all you folks probably have a computer. It's because it's probably how you're watching this show, and you may have computer questions, and that's what Tech Talk is for. And also, I try to bring you a topic each week that you could do with your computers or something you can do to work on the computer, some way to use the computer. So there you go. Okay, so until next week, have a great, great week. Get out there and take a lot of pictures. Spring is kind of creeping upon us here, and the weather's starting to turn kind of nice. It's supposed to be like 65 out today. So get those cameras outside and start clicking those shutters. And as always, until next time, keep those shutters clicking, keep your editors editing, and you're going to be happy you did. I'll see you back here on Jack's Tech Corner and the JTC Learning Network for another Photography Weekly next Sunday. Bye for now. So long. Take care.